Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Vish and welcome to my TBR video quarter 3. Okay, so we're gonna go through July, August, and September, and guys, it's winter here and I am just thriving. So, two things before we start. There won't be any roll the dice just because I'm embracing my mood reading this quarter. I have done that in June and it's been glorious. It's been romance, thriller, and smut galore, and my heart is full. My reading mojo is back. I'm not quite there yet with fantasy, so I'm in a fantasy slump, more specifically an adult fantasy slump. Hopefully I will get there soon because I do still want to read fantasy. It is literally one of my favorite genres, but it is what it is. So let's just get on with the video. Also, like, how is it already July? It's just freaking me out a little bit, but you know what, it's okay because August is my birthday month. I am very excited. A couple of books coming out in August that I'm looking forward to reading. We have Lost in Time by A.G. Riddle. This is the August pick for Goldsboro GSFF. My god. So many F's. Anyway, this is coming out in August. It has dinosaurs. I am freaking excited for this. And the second book that I'm looking forward to reading is Fable by R.F. Kuang. It is literally coming out on my birthday, the 23rd of August, and I am very excited. I think I'm getting 3 copies of this. And the third release that's coming out, actually it's already out, which is Lachlan's by Robert Jackson Bennett, which we will talk about later. Okay, so let's get into my priorities for this quarter. First up is the channel buddy read. So if you don't know, I run a channel buddy read every month. It's kind of put on hold for a bit because of my fantasy slump. So the series that we're reading this time is The Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu, the first book being The Grace of Kings, and I am actually 100 pages to the end. Again, fantasy slump. I want to give this my full attention and I want to come back to this when I'm fully in the mood. I was enjoying this immensely. It wasn't 5-star read, but I can see it being a potential 5-star of the whole series as I move on to each book, especially the second one, which I've heard a lot of great things about because the first one is kind of like setting up the world, setting up the characters, and then the second one and onwards is kind of where the story really begins. So hopefully I get to this relatively soon, but I don't know. I can't guarantee it, but if I can and if I do, I will let you guys know when the live show is, either on my community tab or on the Discord, which is always linked down below. Alright, let's move on to Patreon things. So for the Deva and Greenbone tier, I run a bi-monthly book club, and for May and June, currently I am reading The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. The live show is actually this weekend on the 2nd of July, I believe. I think it should already happen when this video comes out. So yeah, we'll be discussing this very soon, and I'm currently reading it at the moment, so that'll go in my July TBR. And for the month of July and August, we actually already picked a book that we will read, and that is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I've been so excited to get to this. It is a cozy high fantasy with low stakes, and hopefully this will really get me in the mood back into fantasy. I think it will. And all I know about this is we have Viv, the barbarian, who is a warrior, and she kind of hangs up that life to open up a coffee shop, and we kind of go through the problems of opening a coffee shop and also the seedy underbelly of the city that's ruining her plans. So I'm really excited to read this with my patrons and discuss this probably in the beginning of September. Next up, we have my Greenbone pick of the month. So each month for my Greenbones, I pick out a recommendation from this little cup here, and I read that book for the month, and I also vlog that book for that month. So last month was Ninth House, which I have not read, but I will. Fantasy slump, hello. So I will be getting to it soon, and I will be doing a vlog. However, for this month, July, we have to pick out an option for this month. And normally I actually just film a little clip for my Greenbones, but since I'm doing a TBR video, I might as well do it now. And obviously for August and September, I will still do a little clip for them. So let's pick out July's pick, shall we? I will pick this one. Okay, what is this pick? I can't read it upside down. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And it's Haley. Let me just get the book really quickly. Here we are. The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I've heard a lot of good things about this series in general. It is a sci-fi series, I believe. All I really know about this is we have our main character, Rose, who goes aboard this ship called the Wayfarers with a mismatched bunch of crew with different personalities and species. And this crew is offered a job of a lifetime where if they complete this job, they get a cushy life. However, the journey itself is very dangerous, so we don't know if they're going to survive. All of them have their own secrets and things will unravel. I think it's going to be a really cool character-driven story and I'm very excited for it. So thank you, Haley, for picking this for me, and I will be doing a vlog for my lovely green bones for this. And lastly, for my patrons, we'll be continuing on our mass-along journey. If you don't know, all my patrons are participating in this mass-along that we've created, which is basically reading Sarah J. Maas's backlist books starting with Throne of Glass. So we've already read Throne of Glass, Crown at Midnight, and Air of Fire is what we're currently reading, which is the third book, and the live show is next week, I believe. For July, we'll be reading Queen of Shadows and also Assassin's Blade. We didn't really get to this before, but we thought we'd just put it in now. So Queen of Shadows, Assassin's Blades is for July, and then for August, we're going to be reading Empire Storms, which is my favorite of the series. My birthday month, I'm going to be reading Empire Storms. It's going to be great. It's going to be heartbreaking. If you've read this, you know. And then for September, we will be reading Tower of Dawn. An unpopular opinion, but I actually like this book, so yeah. So if you want to join, it's not too late. The link will always be down below. We do more than this. I have weekly reading sprints. I have the Supernatural Watch Along. I have the Mass Along that I just said. I have the Patreon book club. I have extra videos. I'm actually planning to do some other extra videos that is not bookish. So I don't know. If you like the sound of that, link is down below. As always, would love to have you there. Normally on my priorities, I would say I will have a buddy read book with Sam and Abby, but that's not happening right now just because we're all just embracing our mood reading. Maybe we will buddy read something in the future. I don't know. We'll figure it out then. And now let's talk about the series I want to focus on. So last quarter, I said I want to focus on the Mistborn series, which I did. I finally read Hero of Ages. Yay me. If you want my thoughts about that, I'll link my recent reads video up here if you want to check out my thoughts about that. And another series that I wanted to complete was the Greenbone Saga, and I made progress with that. I've reread Jade War, but I haven't really read Jade Legacy. So for this quarter, I would like to focus on Jade Legacy by Fauna Lee. It is very scary, but I do want to read it. Hopefully maybe in August. Again, birthday month is just going to be full of pain, but we'll see. I am still planning to do a spoiler vlog for this, so yeah, I want to focus on this quarter. Another series I want to focus on is, Jesus, this is heavy, the Fortuna Sworn series. I've actually just read Fortuna Sworn. I am currently reading the second book, Restless Slumber. I am halfway through. So for the next 3 months, I would like to read books 3, Deadly Dreams, and books 4, Beautiful Nightmares. The covers are just so pretty. I don't know why. It's just so pretty and I love them. This is a indie published fantasy romance by KJ Sutton. This is the first book, and it's basically about our main character Fortuna, whose brother has been missing for 2 years and she's trying to find him. And one day this fairy comes up to her and says, hey, I can take you to your brother if you marry me. And I am right now on Team Collis because there's 2 teams and I'm on Team Collis 100%. I don't think I will change my mind. I'm like 99.9% sure. I'm just enjoying my time with this series. Like, it's not anything profound. It's just, I'm enjoying the ride. I am loving the characters, especially in Restless Slumber. I think the more I read, the more I'm loving these characters and I'm loving the story and I'm wanting to find out what's going to happen. I will say it is kind of set on Earth, but because it is also a Fae world, we go back and forth between the Unseelie Court and also the real world. And normally I don't like urban fantasy, but it's not too bad. So I'm enjoying my time reading this. So hopefully I get to finish the series this quarter. I'm sorry the angle has changed. I've just changed my camera battery, but moving on. And the third series that maybe I'll get to, hopefully I get to, is the Founders trilogy. The first book being Foundry Side by Robert Jackson Bennett and the second book being Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett. And I mentioned in the beginning of the video that the third book, Locklands, has come out already, and this is one of my loved series. I don't know if it's gonna be my favorite series or not. It really depends on the third book. So I am very excited to read this third book because Shorefall ended on a very massive cliffhanger, so I want answers. So my plan is to reread both Foundryside and Shorefall in order to get to Lachlan's. That is the plan. That's what I hope for. We'll see what happens. I'm mainly just concerned about Jade Legacy and the Fortuna Sworn series. And kind of the last category I want to talk about is readathons. So the main readathon that I'll be participating is in July, called the Indie Accords Readathon, which was created by my lovely friend Lana from Lore and Lullabies. Her channel will be linked down below, and she created this where you basically read indie and self-pub books throughout the month of July, and that's my plan for July. So for this readathon, there's actually teams. So each team will have 2 co-hosts. So the first team we have is Team Narwhals, which is Jesse and Andrew. I'll link both their channels as well. And the main genre for this team is sci-fi fantasy. And then the second team, it's called Independent Kitties, which is hosted by Mel from Mel Reads and also Ellie from Earl Grey Books, I believe. I'll also link their channels. And for this team, the main genre is historical fiction, romance, and contemporary. And this is the team I'm on because right now, very much in the romance mood, which you will see from my TBR. And the third and last team is called Dark Knights, which is hosted by Lana and Steve. And the main genre for this is dark fantasy, thriller, horror. So basically you just choose one of these teams. You don't actually have to read the main genres if you're in this team. You can just pick a team and then read self-pub and indie books from any genre, and that's the whole readathon. And I think it's a very great readathon. It happened last year and I think I participated a little bit, but this year I'm fully committed. I will put the bingo board up here for you and we'll go through these prompts and I'll tell you my option for each of the prompts because again, mood reading, fully embracing. I'll just pick and choose as the months go along, so we'll see. So for the first prompt, which is read a host's favorite, and I have 3 options for these. So the first one is Never Die by Rob J. Hayes, and this is on Kindle Unlimited, and I believe this is Ellie's favorite. So this is essentially part of the Mortal Techniques series, but is a series of standalone novels. So this is a adult fantasy standalone. I know I said I'm in a fantasy slump, but like options, you know? So we have our main character Ian, who is an 8-year-old boy that has been chosen by the god of death to kill the emperor. But Ian can't do it alone, so the god of death has bound legendary warriors to Ian, but in order to bound these warriors, they have to die. I think that's such an interesting premise. I think it's very much like a Asian inspired fantasy because there's a lot of like samurais, kitsunes, that kind of vibe. So we'll see what I think about when I read this, or if I read this, because options. And then my second option for this is Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. This is also Eli's favorite, and this one is a college sports romance, an adult romance contemporary. And apparently it's a very slow burn romance between this woman who is a soccer star and this guy who looks like a lumberjack, and it's sport romance, slow burn. I think this will be my first sports romance if I do decide to read it, and I know Christine from the Roomies Digest absolutely loves this, so this is another option. And the third option is Dead Woman Scorned by Michael Clark. This is the second book to the Patience of a Dead Man series, and this is also on KU, and this is Lana's favorite. So I have read Patience of a Dead Man, and it's basically this adult horror novel, and it's about this man Tim who puts every penny into buying this house after his divorce, and he wants to do it up and then resell it. And when he buys this house, he's noticing some paranormal activity going on, and he doesn't want to sell this house because again, all his money is gone into this house, so he has to deal with it. So he asks his real estate agent Holly to help him solve this problem. It's actually a really scary book, like, I'm not gonna lie. And I haven't read the second book, and I believe the second book is all about the backstory of this paranormal activity, and I want answers. So this is the third option for that prompt. The second prompt is read an author from a different country. For this prompt, I think any of the Fortuna Sworn books would work for this. I also was thinking about The Bridge Kingdom by Daniel L. Jensen. It's also an indie fantasy romance book, and it's a a series, but it's kind of a series of duologies, which I have both books. The only thing I know about this is that we have our main character Lara, who is sent from her kingdom to the Bridge Kingdom to marry King Aaron, and she is there under the guise of destroying the kingdom from within, but obviously she falls in love with Aaron. It's a hate to love romance, and now she kind of has to choose between saving her kingdom or saving Aaron's kingdom, and I'm just excited to dive into this. I kind of do want to finish my Fortune of Sworn series before diving to a different fantasy romance series, but we'll see what happens. But this is one of the options. And the third option for this is Sea Witch by Katie Roberts. This is the 5th book of the Wicked Villain series that I'm making my way through it. This is a female male romance, I believe. It's between Ursula, Ariel, and Eric, and I believe Ursula has Eric in a deal, and Ariel wants to get Eric out of this deal, so she makes a deal with Ursula. It's a whole complicated thing, but when I read it, I'll let you know. But I think it's going to be a fun time, as always, with a Katie Robert book, and she's from the US, so it's a different country. And the third prompt is read a book for the cover. And for this, I purely went on the cover, and I don't really know a lot about these books, so please excuse the lack of synopses. So the first option is Lovely Bad Things by Trisha Wolfe. I don't know if you can see this. It's a very beautiful cover, and I'm in love. And this is a dark romance. This is actually the July pick for Riley Marie's Patreon book club, which I'm a part of, and I love anything that she recommends. So all I know about this, it is again a dark romance between a police officer and a serial killer that she has captured. So that's gonna be real interesting. And the next option is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. This is again another dark romance. This was banned from Amazon at one point for being too dark, but it's back. So it's on KU, which I can read, and that's all I know about it. I have no idea what it is about. I just really love the cover, and I'm going with it. And my third option is Her Soul to Take by Harley Laroe, which is another Riley Marie recommendation. This is again another dark romance. It's available on KU as well, and it's a romance between a human and a demon, and the cover is gorgeous. So I am wanting to read this. So these are my options for that prompt, so we'll see which one I pick. The fourth prompt is read in a different format, either ebook or audiobook. So any of the KU books that I mentioned will literally work for this. So those are all my options for that. And the fifth prompt is to leave a review for an indie book. And the challenge that I'm taking upon myself for this month is to leave reviews for all the indie books that I read in the month of July. So that prompt is already covered. Next we have a 5-star prediction. So Her Soul to Take would be a good option because again, Riley Marie has recommended this. I think it's going to be a 5-star. Maybe one of the Fortuna Sworn series. I don't know. It has the potential, but I feel like that's on the lower side of the options. And then the third option might be Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese, because Christine loved it so much. I think I'm gonna love it a lot. So that's one of the options as well. And my last option for that is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. I think this might be the one I go for this prompt because I read Jennifer Hartman's other book called Lotus. Let me just get it. Lotus. And I loved this book so much. I won't say a lot, but I will tell you it is one of the best friends to lovers book that I've ever read. Like, I was thinking People We Meet on Vacation will be really good, and I was not. So if you want that itch scratched for friends to lovers, highly recommend this. It is pretty dark because our main character Oliver has been kidnapped for most of his adult life. Now there's a lot of trigger warnings in here, but it is so emotional, so innocent, and I love it. So I highly recommend this. Because of that, I think I'm gonna love Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Another dark romance. It is about these two characters, Cora and Dean. They both have been kidnapped by a serial killer and they fall in love in this very, very dark place. And because of the writing in Lotus, I think I'm gonna really love Still Beating. And what do you know? Another Riley Marie recommendation. For the 7th prompt is to read a book that has under 200 reviews, and this one was a bit difficult for me because all the indie books that I've had my eye on have a lot of ratings, which is yay for all my indie authors out there. But also it was hard to find under 200 reviews, but I found 3. So I'll go through the options if you're also having difficulty trying to find a book for that prompt as well. And if you have any recommendations for under 200, please leave it down in the comments so we can all share and discover new indie books. The first book I want to talk about is The Last Heir by Summer Sullivan. I was actually contacted by the author to read her book, and that was ages ago, but fear not, I remember. We're doing this. It's on KU and I'm excited to read this. It's a very short fantasy book. I think it's about like 186 pages. I'm scared because I'm not a fan of short fantasy, but if she does it well, it's gonna be good. In this world, the human world is separated by the realm of darkness by a wall. And the only way this wall can come crumbling down if one specific person dies. And I think that person does, and the darkness seeps through into the human world. And one of our main characters, Princess Alida, is fleeing for her life, probably because of this phenomenon, and she recruits help from a smuggler and the son of a crime lord to escape. And our second perspective is Sonny, who has been trying to find out what or how her parents have been murdered with no such luck. So she's been turning to helping other people find out answers about their murders / problems. And then a man from her enemy country hires her to find his brother's murderer. I don't know how these perspectives are connected, but I'm sure they will. And I'm excited to know because I love two different perspectives that come together in the end. That's one of my favorite things ever. The second option for that prompt is The Thunder Heist by Jed Hearn. This is the first book to the Twisted Seas series. This is another fantasy series. And I believe this is a heist story, but what really caught my eye for this book is the setting, because this is a city of boats just linked all together to make a city. I'll just read you this. A tangled jungle of 1,000 boats all lashed together to make a floating city ship. Wow. I'm really excited to read this. It's not that long at all. And the author actually sent this to me because he lives here in Perth, where I am. So I definitely want to get to this as well. My third option is called Gathering Shadows by Chelsea Thomas, and this is also on KU. This one has 6 ratings, but I'm really interested because it's to do with witches and covens. I'm not gonna do justice by summarizing this synopsis, so I'll give you the synopsis that I've read. So, deep in the heart of Moravia, a plane of existence separate from the one you know rests 4 covens of witches and warlocks. The greatest of these is the Blood Coven. When the Earth Coven attacks the Blood Coven, they break not only ancient oaths, but steal magic. One witch from the Blood Coven is determined to exact revenge. Drika Bloodfire searches Moravia for assistance and finds it an unlikely place. Not all is as it seems. A powerful and vengeful goddess has been unleashed once again in Moravia, a threat the Covens thought was far behind them. As the Covens, their mothers, and the members push back against the threat, Drika is forced to make a choice between love and power. Ancient powers whisper their secrets to her from hidden places, tongues as silver as serpents, driving Drika to make one desperate choice. Is a sacrifice enough? Is power greater than love? Drika may have things figured out, but the witch gods play by their own rules. So I think that's really interesting, and I'm excited to read this. And for only 6 ratings, it has a 4.5 rating. I think it's going to be good. We shall see. So those are my options for under 200 reviews. Again, leave your suggestions below. The 8th prompt is to read a black, white, red, or blue cover. This one has so many options, which is literally most of them in this category. So we have Lovely Bad Things, we have Still Beating, we have The Bridge Kingdom, which is blue, we have Haunting Adeline, we have Her Soul to Take, and lastly we have Killing Sarai by J.A. Redmersk. And again, Riley Murray's recommendation, and I'm excited to get to this. This is also a black cover mostly, and also, you know, red as well. So we have our main character Sarai, who's been trying to escape from this marriage from a notorious drug lord that her mother has put her into. And we have Victor, who's a cold-blooded assassin that has a hit on Sarai. So he goes to the compound where Sarai is being kept to kill her, but Sarai sees this as a chance to escape. She's basically freed herself from one dangerous situation to another, so I'm excited to see what happens. A human falling in love with an assassin? Count me intrigued. And the last prompt is read a diverse book. So any of the Fortunatus 1 series, there is a male-male romance in that, will count. We have Sea Witch like I said, because there's a female male romance, and then also the next book after that, which is the 6th book, which is Queen Takes Rose, is a female romance. So those 3 are my options for that last prompt. And other readathons, I'm not sure because they haven't been announced yet. Maybe the magical readathon might be happening in August. Maybe Bookopoly, a month-long Bookopoly, will happen in September. I'm not sure, they haven't been announced, but if it happens, I will be participating for sure. So yeah, that is my long-ass winded TBR for the 3rd quarter. Let me know what books you're excited to read. Let me know if you're going to be participating in the Indie Accords Readathon. What is your TBR for that readathon if you're participating? And if you made it to the end of the video, let's put a birthday cake emoji, because hello, birthday month. Woo! Like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't. All my socials and my Patreon is linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!